How do I start this thing?
Have you plugged the bloody USB in?
Yeah, it's in.
Nah, man, that's the wrong port. Oh, wait, it's flashing now.
Is it it's recording.
Well, let's start this thing, fool!
Hello everyone, I'm Amelia.
Hi, I'm Sam. Welcome to Ask the Duo podcast, a podcast where we get deep into those late night, unfiltered conversations.
We'll be discussing all things lifestyle, relationship, mindset, and more.
Alright, let's get to it!
Yo, 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 we are back.
Hello, what's up?
So what's up? Well, I watch a lot of things on YouTube and it's like philosophical things or just things around deeper meanings of how you think around things. And this one that popped up was about why you shouldn't chase happiness, and got me thinking, do we truly understand the true definition of happiness? So I wanted to discuss it because this gentleman that I watched, his name is Tal Ben-Shahar.
Shahar, yeah.
He's like a scientist or someone that studies happiness. And yeah, he brought up some really good things around how you should see happiness and why you shouldn't chase it. So we'll talk about that today.
Yeah. And I think it's an interesting topic because we don't think from a perspective that, what is happiness? And what are we doing to pursue it? Or how are we defining it?
Well, I think if someone asked you, like, what do you define as happiness? A lot of people would connect it to a certain milestone in life or a certain thing that they need to achieve, like either getting to a position in your career or getting a house or getting married, and they define that as happiness.
Right.
But what we're going to break down is like why you shouldn't chase that as happiness. Because it's kind of like if you put it in a math equation, you have automatically defined that X equals happiness. But it shouldn't have that one and only answer. Like X shouldn't be happiness. It could be multiple things. It could be X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
What is your definition of happiness?
My definition of happiness is probably an indirect form of happiness. So outside of materialistic things, outside of what you're saying, a status or achieving a certain goal. To me, it's about experience, your relationships that you've got around you, so family, friends, and stuff like that. All of that is what I define as happiness.
Yeah, that's really good because I think what this guy was saying, Tal, is that a lot of people don't think like that. They actually just connect status, milestones as that, unless people think of it indirectly. And we have said it many times before in our other episodes how you need to celebrate what we were saying recently, celebrate the small wins, or even have gratitude as you're working through your process or your progress through life. And it's about those smaller things. And then, what he actually brought up, this Tal gentleman, is saying that happiness is actually a paradox.
So then, in terms of the paradox, for people that doesn't understand what that means, can you explain what that actually means?
Yeah, so happiness is actually a contradicting term. Like, yes, it could be a good thing, but it could also be a bad thing, especially if you're chasing happiness as one of those milestone things that we're talking about. So there's actually another study that he mentioned. Studies from this guy called Iris Moss have shown that the more you chase happiness, the harder you fall. And what he means by that is, some examples. If you put into equation that happiness equals getting married or finding a partner, yeah, it does bring you happiness, but the more you chase that and the harder it is, the more you chase that and you don't reach that goal, you don't get married or you don't find a partner, the easier you are to get upset about your life because you're like, I don't have this, and because I don't have this, I'm not happy. But it's not like that. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah, which is true. A lot of people they will fall under a depression or a state where they're not happy in life because they don't have any of those things that define their true happiness.
Yeah.
I think it's all about understanding in a deeper way as to what makes them truly happy.
Yeah, and other people would explain it as you need to find what makes yourself happy and don't look at external things to make you happy. It's the same thing as like, I need a boyfriend to be happy. It's not like that. You need to be happy with yourself before you can even be happy with someone else.
Right. And it's about looking deeper in your true self as to what actually makes you smile, right? And I think the biggest thing is it could be a social thing, the social norm, in the fact that when we're kids, we grow up and we've been taught that in life you need to get married, you need to buy a house. When you get married, have kids, that's happiness. And we're so ingrained in that routine or that reality of that it's normality for people to go, okay, well, for me to reach happiness, that's what I need to do.
Yeah. So I think it's also just growing that mindset and growing that perspective and understand that happiness is not an end goal and it's not something that can last forever. So similar to what we said in that episode about why people are so scared of rejection, happiness or fear, whatever that feeling is, these feelings come and go, and happiness is the same thing. It's not going to last forever, but happiness can also grow from painful experiences. And we don't mean painful like you've been traumatized by something, but it's even including challenges or the things that you have to do to get to a certain point. Those are growing pains too, or experiences that you need to go through, and that can still bring you happiness.
Yeah, exactly right. And in order for you to understand what that means or feels, you have to go through that pain point, right? For you to acknowledge and comprehend what it truly means.
Yeah. So this Tal Ben-Shahar, he also broke it down to say how you experience happiness shouldn't be direct. Like, you shouldn't think of, just getting happiness directly through a certain thing. You should indirectly experience happiness through this acronym called SPIRE. So SPIRE. So S being spiritual, P physical, I is intellectual, R is relational, so like friendships, relations, and emotional, which makes a lot of sense. So how he breaks that down is depending on what kind of challenge you're going through, you might apply different conditions, like the SPIRE conditions, to appreciate those things.
Right. Let's define what each section or condition actually means. So S being spiritual, right? So that's more like the meaning and the purpose behind whatever that is indirectly.
Yeah, so when you understand or have a meaning, like a reason to wake up in the morning, essentially, when you have that and you understand that, you become happier and you have a purpose to go through your day. Like you have motivation to do what you want to do. But if you don't have that and you're only chasing happiness, it's harder to get there. Right,
yeah, because you're never ending chasing the tail.
Mm-hmm.
And then physical. So that's just what? Lack of recovery, right?
Well, one of the elements he explained was, the recovery, which is the stress that you have. So a lot of people, us included, we don't take up our annual leave. And because you're just so bounded to working, and even if you take annual leave and you're working,
you're still ingrained in that routine. So you're not actually switching off, which is important to recover.
Yeah, and just give yourself a break to rest and reset. So that's another thing.
Yeah, and on that, we did mention this in one of our podcasts in relation to
It is like top non-negotiables.
Yeah, our top non-negotiables, and taking a break that is more than a week is where you're going to feel well rested.
Yeah, and it's important. And it just gives you time to reflect as well on what you've done so far and what you need to do, where you need to take your next steps, or even just to completely reset your mind so that you can come back in and tackle your goals and your next steps.
Yep, exactly right. And the next one is intellectual, right? So intellectual meaning that being more curious and asking questions, digging deeper when it comes to those situations.
Yeah, and just understanding things around life and understanding and just be curious about life.
Yeah, and being curious is, to some people, it could be being a pest, right? You could be a hindrance to some people, but being curious is a benefit because it's forcing you to understand what those meanings truly mean.
It's not a hindrance for people. I think people are afraid to be annoying, like to ask questions or whatever, but it doesn't hurt to ask questions or to be curious and understand, more things about life or whatever you're curious about.
Yeah, exactly.
And it helps grow your mind too. You're training your brain to think and understand and see things.
The next one, relational.
Yeah, which was one of the most important ones, is to have and build quality relationships, because I think especially during challenging times, if you go through it yourself as opposed to having people there supporting you and all that kind of stuff, they can actually lift you and motivate you to keep going, especially when you feel like you're not on the right track or you feel like you're not getting anywhere. But these people, the quality relationships you have around you, can help support you.
Yeah, and this is considered an indirectional form of happiness. And this is what I take real important to me, is the fact that your friends, your close friends, that is, your family, and that relationship that you have with them is what gives you and forms happiness. Because that experience and the time with them is what makes you happy.
Yeah, and if you achieve something, you can share it with your friends, and they're happy for you too, and you can share those experiences, which is like such a beautiful thing.
Yeah, and that time is irreplaceable too. So
yeah. And last one, emotional. So I think this one's quite common. People would know about it, and it's just embracing painful emotions is critical. So understanding the challenges and embracing that this is, bound to happen, but also cultivate pleasurable moments. So embracing and having gratitude, which is something we've talked about as well. So be grateful for all the small things. So if we put it in example again, like finding a partner or getting married is your end goal for happiness, rather than thinking of that, being grateful that maybe you've met someone but didn't work out. You've met with them, you've learnt from them, and now you kind of are closer to the point where you understand yourself more to find your next partner that will work well with you.
Yeah.
Like learning those kind of things and having gratitude that you have met someone that helped you grow to the next point, as an example.
Yeah, and that is a good point, because each experience that you go through is what you learn from, because you're bound to fuck up, you're bound to get treated like shit, but those painful points in your, I guess, your life zone, if you want to call it, that's all pinnacle points in life.
Well, you don't have to be treated like shit. It's just it didn't work out, your relationship didn't work out, but rather than thinking of it as, now I am alone again, I'm lonely, I don't have a partner, I don't have a boyfriend, I'm not getting married. Don't think of it like that. Think that now you have learnt another thing from this person that you've been with, whether it's been 2 weeks, a month, a year, you've still learned something.
Yeah, it's taught you something to treasure and better yourself from that point. So
Yeah, and it's just understanding that every single thing that happens to you in life, this is how I see it, everything that happens to you in life, no matter good or bad, is a learning experience, and you just gotta be grateful that you even had that chance to experience it.
Yep. That's one of the most important ones too.
Yeah, so what Tal said was things don't necessarily happen for the best, which is what we're saying, but we can learn to make the best of things that can happen or that happen.
Yep.
That's why I think it was just a really good video, which we will link in the description, because I think everyone can benefit from watching this, and that, you know, happiness isn't a direct thing, and it shouldn't be a direct thing that you should chase, but try and enjoy the small things.
Yep. Happiness is something that we always look at it from the direct point of view.
Like that feeling of happiness is what people are chasing.
Yeah, but they're chasing that feeling through avenues like a status or a goal or a physical materialistic thing. But I think we lack the understanding of looking at it from an indirect point of view. Look inside yourself and think what truly makes you smile genuinely.
Yeah.
And until you understand that, that's when you will know, okay, my true happiness is this.
Yeah. No, I think it's really good. We probably butchered some of what he's trying to explain, so we'll leave the description of the video below and just have a read. I mean, not have a read, have a listen. And yeah, get an understanding. He even talks about other things like anti-fragility and the 2 types of resilience, which we won't get into today. But yeah, have a listen, have a watch, and yeah, see what you think.
Yeah, it's definitely eye-opening the way he explains the methodology behind the whole aspect of being happy. And I think a lot of people overlook this quite significantly.
It gets so deep and so scientific in a way that like you need to actually sit there and have a think about what he's saying.
Yeah, but it's really an eye-opener. It makes you go, shit, like that's some deep, serious shit.
Yeah, so
yeah, let us know what your thoughts are in regards to what truly makes you happy. I think definitely have a watch of that video, as mentioned before, because those factors of what he was mentioning in there, it's really an eye-opener, and maybe you can apply that to yourself and learn something from that.
Yeah,
because I definitely did, because I didn't think of it from his perspective.
Yeah, and let us know if you think that he has changed your mind in what your concept was of happiness, and has it redefined your meaning of what true happiness is. That's it for today, I think.
Yeah.
And stay happy.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thank you so much if you have reached to the end. We really appreciate you for tuning in. And if you like what you hear, please share it with your friends or family and subscribe to our podcast on whatever platform you are listening to.
Make sure you share any topics you'd like us to cover or questions you might have to our Instagram.
Slide it into our DMs.
Pika. You can also stay in the loop of all the behind the scenes and the release of our new episodes there too. Our Instagram is Ask the Duo Podcast. That's AskTheDuo Man, feels like I'm in a spelling bee competition right now. Alright, that's it for now, and we'll see you back here for our next episode. Bye!
See ya!